Hello everyone. This video is brought to you by Newton's Group of Institutions in association with Redefined Solutions. This is Arvind Egireddy from Department of CSE. In this video, I'll be talking about the use case model in UML. A use case involves the interactions of actors and the system or other subject. So here an actor represents a coherent set of roles that users of the use case play when interacting with these use cases. So here when we say the actors, these actors can be humans or they can be any authorized systems. So here use case performs or carries out some tangible amount of work, and we can apply use cases to our whole system, and we can also apply use cases to the part of our system including subsystems and even including classes and interfaces. So in each case, these use cases not only represent the desired behavior of these elements, but they can also be used as the basis to test cases of these elements as they evolve during the development. So here in this figure of UML, we can see the graphical representation of a use case and an actor. So here this notation permits us to visualize the use case as a part from its realization and in context with other use cases. So use case is a description of a set of sequences of actions including variants that a system performs to yield an observable result of values to an actor. Coming to the subject, here the subject is a class described by the set of the use cases. Usually the class is a system or a subsystem, and the use cases represent the aspects of the behavior of these classes. So the actors represent the aspects of the other classes that interact with the subject. Taking together, the use case describes the complete behavior of the subject. And coming to the names, every use case must have a name that distinguishes it from other use cases. So here, a name is a textual string. The name alone is known as a simple name, and a qualified name is the use case name prefixed by the name of the package in which the use case lives. So here, a use case is typically drawn showing only its name, like what we see in this particular figure. Coming to the actors, actors represent a coherent set of roles that users of use case play when interacting with the use cases. So typically an actor represents a role that a human or a hardware device or even another system plays with a system. So for example, if you are working for a bank and you might be a loan officer, and if you are doing your personal banking there, then you will play the role of a customer. So in any existing system, actors need not exist as a separate entity. So one object may play the part of a multiple actors. So in the example what we have discussed, one person may be both loan officer and a customer. So coming to this particular figure here, actors are rendered as a sticky figures. So we can define general kind of actors such as customers and specialize them such as a commercial customer using a generalization relationship. Use cases and flow of events. So a use case describes what a system or a subsystem, class or interface does, but it does not specify how it does it. So whenever you model, it is important that we keep clearly the separation of concerns between these inside and outside views, so that we can specify the behavior of the use case by describing a flow of events in text clearly enough for the outsider to understand it easily. So when we write these flow of events, we must include how and when these use case starts and ends, when the use case interacts with the actors, and what objects are exchanged, and the basic flow of and alternative flow of the behavior are to be represented. So here the behavior of a use case can be specified by describing the flow of events in text, and there can be a main flow of events and one or more expectational flow of events. Coming to the use case scenarios, each sequence is called as an scenario. So a scenario is a specific sequence of actions that illustrate the behavior. Here scenarios are the use cases as instances to classes, which meaning that a scenario is basically one instance of the use case. So for each use case, there will be primary scenarios and the secondary scenarios. Coming to use case and collaborations, a use case captures the instance behavior of the system or subsystem, classes or interfaces, and we are developing without having to specify how that behavior is implemented. So that is an important separation, because the analysis of the system should not be influenced by implementation issues. Ultimately, however, we have to implement the use cases, and we do it so by creating a society of classes and other elements that work together to implement the behavior of the use case. So this society of elements, including both the static and dynamic structure, is modeled in the UML as a collaboration. So in this figure, we are explicitly specifying the realization of the use case by a collaboration. Coming to organizing use cases, we can organize use cases by grouping them in packages in the same manner in which we can organize classes. So we can also organize use cases by specifying generalization, include and extend relationship among them. So here an include relationship between the use cases means that the base use case explicitly incorporates the behavior of another use case at a location specified in the base. So an include relationship can be rendered as an dependency stereotype as include. So an extend relationship between the use cases means that the base use case implicitly incorporates the behavior of another use case at a location specified indirectly by the extending use case. So here you can see that an extend relationship can be rendered as a dependency stereotype in this particular figure. So extension points are just labels that may appear in the flow of the base of the use case. So in this figure, we can also see that it is clearly seen that the generalization among the use cases is rendered with an solid directed lines. So these are the two solid directed lines with a large triangle overhead, what we are shown here. So coming to modeling the behavior of the elements, to model the behavior of an element, we need to identify the actors that interact with the elements, candidate actors, including groups that require creation, certain behavior to perform their task, or that are needed directly or indirectly to perform the element functions. So to organizing these actors by identifying general and more specialized rules. And for each actor, we need to consider the primary ways in which the actor interacts with the elements. And we also need to consider the interactions that change the state of these elements or its environment, or that involves a response to some event. And we need to consider also the exponential ways in which each actor interacts with the elements. And then we need to organize these behaviors as use cases and applying include and extend. So that's for today. Thank you. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel for the latest notifications. Thank you all.